Salvete. Today we are talking through lesson 18. We're going to do the homework on pages 200 through 205 together. Today we're talking about verbs again. We talked about this last year, so this is really a review of last year. So we should be able to work through this pretty quickly, and I think you'll remember about verbs as we go along. So the first question on page 200 is, what is a verb? If you could think for a second about what a verb is in a sentence. Remember, a noun we've talked a lot about is a person, place, thing, or idea. And a noun is in a declension. And there are 5 different noun cases. Remember, nominative, genitive, dative, accusative, ablative. For verbs, verb is the part of a sentence that says what someone does. It's an action verb, or we've learned being linking verbs. So if I say, I throw the eraser, throw is a verb because it tells what action I did. And so a verb is an action word, and every verb in Latin is in what we call a conjugation, which is a nice big long word. And a conjugation is just a group of endings that give the different persons of a verb. So we'll talk about that more in just a little bit. So remember when we were doing nouns, when we would decline a noun, and just like you've been doing on your curtum and calares, you put all the different endings on the noun for nom, gen, date, act, abla in singular and plural. So a conjugation is the same for verbs, but it's showing who's doing the action. So what do I mean by that? So if I say, I throw, that's different than saying you throw, or he, she, or it throws. So when we conjugate a verb, we can see who is doing the action by what ending we put on it. So on the top of page 201, there's that chart there for the endings. So let's remember our present tense verb endings. They're o, is, it, imus, itus, unt. And remember, those endings are I, you, he, she, or it, we, you all, and they. Okay, we'll talk about that again in just a little bit. So the endings are, again, o, is, it, imus, itus, unt. So, like I was saying, this is what I mean by this. If I put this ending on a verb, that means I did the action. If I put this ending, that means you singular did the action. This means he, she, or it singular did the action. And then this is we, you all, plural, and they did the action. So depending on what ending we put on a verb, we can see who is doing the action. So o, is, it, imus, itus, unt. And remember, we put the I's and the U's in parentheses because sometimes they get squished. So on the bottom of page 201, you see this chart that we talked about last week in the video. So if you don't remember that, you can go back and watch it if you'd like, where for the weaker ones, we have I and U, and then we have short E, long I, which makes the E sound, long A, which makes the ah sound, long E makes the A sound, and short O, which makes an ah sound again. So these are the weaker ones. I'll write weak up here. I didn't leave myself much room, but weak and strong. So I's and U's are weak, so they get squished out a lot by the other vowels. And we'll see what we mean by that in just a little bit. So on page 201, you see that chart for ombulat. There's ombulo, ambulas, ambulat, ambulamus, ambulatis, ambulant. So let's recite this one more time before I take it off the board, and we'll do the hand motions with it so that we can remember which person the ending means. So, o, is, it, imus, itus, unt. All right, I'll take this off the board, and then we'll talk a little bit more about the squishy vowels. All right, so here we have ombulat, and we've conjugated it, which means we've put it in a conjugation. Okay, so remember when we memorize a word, a verb, we always memorize it in the third person singular. So it always has this T at the end. So ombulat is what we memorize, and that means he, she, or it walks. And so when we conjugate a verb, we want to put the different endings on it, so we need to figure out what the stem is. And so now if you look on the top of page 201, you should have written down those endings, o, is, it, imus, itus, unt. If you haven't written those down yet, you can go back to that part of the video real quick and write those down, and then you can refer to that. So let's look at what the stem is. Here we have ombula, and then the ending is T, right? Here we just have ombule, and the ending is O. So it looks like the stems are different. But when we want to find the stem, we look at the third person singular. So this is actually the stem, ombula. And instead of saying ombula it, with that I in parentheses, see that A squishes out the I. So we just end up with ombulat. And then in the first person singular, see the O is stronger than the A, and so the O squishes the A out of the stem, and so this becomes ombulo. So we get ombulo, ombulas, here again the I got squished, ombulamus, ombulatis, ambulant. So in each of these, the I got squished, the I got squished, and the U got squished by the A. And so that's how we end up with that conjugation. All right, so let's flip ahead to page 202, 202, the next page, and we'll conjugate nakot together. All right, ready for nakot. So I'll start by writing nakot here. So this is how we memorize it, right? So let's figure out what the stem is. Well, we'll cut the T off, and so nakot is the stem. All right, so now here, so in the first person singular, we have the stem nakot, and we're going to add the ending, the first person singular ending, O. So nakot plus O. So instead of saying nekao, see the O squishes the A, because the O is stronger than the A. And so this becomes neko. So neko means I kill. So under first person singular, you can put neko. All right. Second person singular, we're going to have the same stem, neka, but now we're going to have neka plus is. Okay, that's the second person singular ending. So now instead of saying neka is, remember this is a squishy vowel, the A squishes out the I. And so we just get nekos. So nekos means you singular, kill. All right, third person singular. We have the stem again, neka plus it. In this case, again, I is squishy. It gets squished out by the A, and we have nekot. So again, remember nekot is third person singular. That means he, she, or it kills. And just another reminder, when we memorize verbs, we memorize them in the third person singular. So that's always what you start with. All right. I'll make a line here so we can keep them separate, and now we'll do plural. So now we have the stem neka plus imus. And the A squishes the I, and we get, uh-oh, I'm running out of room, nekamus. Hopefully you can read that. Nekamus means we kill. All right, second person plural. We have neka plus itis, and again, A squishes the I, and so we get nekatis, which means you all kill. And finally, third person plural, we have neka plus unt, and the A squishes the U, and so we just get nekant. Nekant means they kill, okay? So we have I kill, you singular kill, he, she, or it kills, we kill, you all kill, and they kill. So lots of killing going on in this one, right? But this is what we mean by conjugating a verb. We put all 6 different endings on it, and then we can see who is doing the action. So if I just say, in English, if I just say throw, you don't know who is throwing. And in English, if we want to show who is throwing, we use the different pronouns, right? We say I throw, or you singular throw, or he, she, or it throws. But in Latin, we get all of that information just from the ending of the word. So the word is the same, and we just add the different endings on to see who is doing the action. All right. So the next box on page 202 is translate your conjugation. So that means write what it means in English. And so I kill, you kill, he, she, or it kills, we kill, you all kill, they kill. That would be the translation. So that's what it means in English. All right. So next is E-stem verbs. And so the same as we just talked about, we've got vidette here. So I'll erase this and then we'll look at vidette for a second. All right, so vidette, we'll write that up here and we'll look at the stem. So again, we always memorize it in the third person singular. So we just cut the T off and there's our stem, vidette. And so then it becomes video, vides, vidette, videmus, videtis, and vident. And so in this case, even though O is stronger, we do still keep the E in first person singular. So it does still become video, which looks like video, right? So that's a fun little note that the word video, as we use it today, means something that we watch, right? But it comes from this word I see. And so when you watch a video, you're seeing the video. So that's an interesting little note. Okay, so that is that's E stem. It's just like A stem, but it ends with an E. They behave very similarly. So on the bottom of page 203, we're going to find the stems of these verbs, and then we're going to identify whether they're A stem or an E stem. So we'll do some of those together, and then I'll leave some for you to do on your own. So they did the first one, ambulat. Okay, the stem is just ambula, and it's an A stem. So next is vidette. So how do we find the stem? We just cut the T off, and the stem is vidette. And so what kind of stem of verb is this? Well, it ends with an E, so it's an E stem. So the answer would be vidette and then E stem. Okay, nekat. Again, we cut the T off, the stem is neka, and it ends with an A, so it's an A stem. Okay, and then ambulat, again, I don't know why they're asking you this again, but we'll do it. Ambulat, cut off the T, the stem is ambula, And so, again, it is an A stem. Okay, we'll do one more, then I'll leave the last two for you to do on your own. Respondet. All right, we'll cut the T off. Ends with an E. This is the stem. Respondet. Ends with an E, so it is an E stem. All right, you can do the last two on your own. Servot and laudat. Write the stem and then write whether it's an A stem or an E stem. All right. So now the pensum, this is actually page 205 and 206. They have you conjugate laudat and respondet, and then translate some verbs into English, and translate some verbs from English into Latin. So that'll be a lot of fun. I'll let you do laudat on your own since we've already done an A stem, and we will do respondet together right here. So just get this off the board, and I'll write respondet up here to start with. Respondet. So remember, when we memorize a verb, we always memorize it in what person? Third person singular. So respondet is third person singular. It has the T. We'll cut the T off. So here's the stem. Respondet. Okay? So now we'll put the first person singular ending on, which is O. So this becomes respondeo. And then we put the second person singular on, and that becomes and that becomes respondes. So the E squishes out the I. And then for third person singular, which we already have up there, but we'll do it again, respondet. So the E squishes out the I. Now for plural, we have respondemus. And then, so this is first person plural, and then second person plural, respondetis. And then, so again, the E squished the I out. And then finally, we have respondent. Respondent. And so the E here squished the U out, so we have respondent. So that's how you would conjugate respondet. And like I said, I'll let you do laudat, and then see for number 5 and 6 if you can translate those three verbs into English, and then the English verbs into Latin. All right, that will do it for this video, and then in the next video we'll do the fabula together. Salvete.